Hi everybody, Mr. Rubo here, and today we're looking at modeling functions and applications. So this we're going to look at how to do regression models in the graphing calculator. Um, and yeah, the nice thing with the graphing calculator, it has this built in. So once you kind of know how to do it, it's really nice and easy. So for building a regression model in the calculator, it's really two steps. You have to enter the data that you want to be modeled, and then you have to select the regression model. Oh, my stylus does not want to write there. There we go. Okay. So you can follow the steps in your notes, but I'll also do it on the calculator. So here's the table we're going to enter in, and then in the problem, you'll kind of see it says that it's going to be a regression, linear regression. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to a calculator. So let me pull up my good old TI-84 on here. And I'm going to go ahead and you hit this stat button, which is right next to the arrow and next to the X button. So you get to here, and what you're then going to do is, if you haven't put any data in, you got to enter it in. And the way we do that is by just choosing edit, the very first option. So now you're going to get all these lists, and you're going to want to make sure that it says L1 and L2 here. If for some reason it doesn't say L1, if you accidentally deleted it or something like that, if you go back to stat and you go setup editor, it will it'll make it so it's all correct. So at this point, you just put in L1, your list of X's. So in my case, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 12. So let's go ahead and just type that in for 5, 6, 8, and 12. And after you hit each one, you just hit enter to go to the next. And then in L2, that's where we're going to throw in the y values, which I've got them written over here. So 4.2, 4.4, 4.8, 5.1, and 5.7. Okay, so it doesn't matter what regression model they want you to use. You just, first step is always enter in the data, always L1 and L2. And then once you have those two things in, you're actually going to hit stat again. And this time you're going to go over to the calculate menu. And there's a lot of stuff here. Some of it we won't touch, like the first couple things are very statistics heavy. So if you decide to take stats at any point, you'll probably use one var stats or two variable stats. But what we want are all the ones that have the REG. So you'll notice there is linear regression, quadratic regression, cubic regression, quartic regression, another linear regression. So they will give you the same thing. You just got to pay attention to the order of things. So here it's the slope, mx plus b, kind of what we're used to. But they also have it where the y-intercept is first and then the slope is second. We then have ln regression, which is natural log, exponential regression, power regression. Logistic is another one that is more exponential based. And then sine regression, and then there's some other stuff down here that we don't really ever use. But there's a lot of regressions here. They're all pre-built in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and choose, we'll go ahead and do the linear regression, and we're actually going to choose the eighth one. It doesn't really matter, really, 4 versus 8. Both will give you the same values, just in a different order. And when you do this, you want to, if you just want to see what the equation is and you don't necessarily want to do anything else with it, you could just go right down to calculate. If you want to store the regression equation in your y1 or any y, it's a really nice thing to do, especially if you want to graph it or anything like that. We won't do it in this example, but I'll just kind of quick go over. store regression equation, you hit vars for variable, yvars, and then function, and you can just choose y1. Another shortcut that a lot of these calculators have, oops, oh, it's yvars. Sorry about that. You're going to hit, so I got to get back. So when you're in that calculate, so I'm going to go right back to it. You can also, another way to get y1 in there is alpha trace, and you'll see y1 right there. So and I'll show you what this does in a second after we hit calculate. We don't have to do this every time, but it is a nice feature that the calculator has. So I hit calculate, and look at that. It tells me my A value, my B value, and what the equation is. So if we go back to our notes, we are going to have our regression model. So it was y equals a plus bx, and our a was 3.545, right, from the calculator, plus 0.185x. Make sure you have the y and the x in there. Those are obviously very important. And then you'll notice too that like this regression, you might have r's, you might not. These guys, if you want them, it kind of tells you how good of a regression model it is. What you want to do to turn those on is you go second catalog, and then you go all the way down to diagnostics, which you can also just hit the D, how it's the green D there. And then we can scroll down to diagnostics on. So if you turn it on, as long as you don't reset your calculator, you don't have to do that again. So now if I go back to calculate, don't have to re-enter the data in because it's already in there. I'll do the regression again, or the y1, the store regression, hit enter. And now we get this R value. These guys, again, tell us how good of a linear function this is. The closer it is to 1, the better. But it's usually not needed for this course too often. But just that store regression, show you real quick. So we remember the equation, 3.545 plus 0.185. And sometimes these numbers can get really long, and you don't want to round them until your final answer. So, we can end up, instead of having to type it all in my y equals, it actually typed it in there for me. So I didn't have to retype it. So that's what that store reg did. Again, not always necessary, but it is a nice little feature this calculator has. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good day.